Yes. Look, there's a book. It's been around forever. I have to tell people that that is a picture of me on the back. It's so old. But it's been a lot of you have seen it. It is of no interest to this group at the moment. We're not going to use it, and I'm not selling it because it has to do with team building, organizational team building. We play. It's good that way. But I just thought I would point at it. So this is the part where most speakers in the modern world say things like, it's not about you. There's no me in we, right? You heard that one? Yeah. So those of you of sensitive nature, better take a deep breath because I'm going to say something politically incorrect. You ready?
Yay!
It is about you. It really is. How you react, how you act, and how you react to the actions of others makes how you deal with everyone either work or not work. And if we think about it and we do this right, which we're going to do, it'll make a circle and everyone will want to get along with you because you're somebody that they want to know, somebody they want to deal with, somebody of importance. Now, I'm going to give you a code to live your life by. No, I did not make it up. It is the Rotarian four-way test. Yes, I am a Rotarian. No, this is not an ad for Rotary. I don't care if you become a Rotarian or not, although it is a good organization. But there's 4 levels to it, and I think it's a really good way to live. And it'll help you get along with everyone, both personally and professionally. Let's do it. It's in front of you. It's on the page that I gave you. You can all follow along if you like. Is it true? Is it fair? Will it promote goodwill and better relationships? Is it beneficial to all concerned? I know I kind of ad-libbed it, but that's the test. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, it's going to be one of those speeches. Yeah, I think I'll go eat something. Because people don't think that truth is a modern thing, right? If you live your life and you say, and you ask yourself, is it true? Is it fair? Will it promote goodwill and better relationship? Is it beneficial to all? Which really means, have I cheated anyone? Or has anyone cheated me, right? Yeah. Is that how business is done? It should be. And I'll tell you why. Because it'll make you more successful. Make you richer. Yes, it will. And is that how relationships should be? Yeah, it should be. Because if you lie to folk, it'll get out. And if you lie to yourself, well, just think about that for a moment. Who on earth thinks that they can lie to themselves? It's you in there. You know what it was that you did, said, and kind of like that. You know if it's not true. People say they're lying to themselves. There was a book with multiple personalities, whether Sybil, I think it was called. Unless you are Sybil, and your personalities are so distinct that they don't talk to each other, not going to be done. I will tell you a story to demonstrate, and it's a true story. I'm also going to say another sentence. If you're sensitive, it's not very modern. You ready? There'll be a lot of deep breathing during this talk. I'm going to say that you should have what they used to call a moral compass. That you should always think about whether or not you're acting in a good manner. If you have a moral compass, will other people have one too? They haven't heard this talk. But if you have a moral compass, you will know how you want to react, how you act towards others, and you'll get a good reputation, which is an undervalued thing in this world. When I was a young attorney, I've been one since I was 22 years old. You can decide how long it's been a while. When I was a young attorney, I once shook hands on a $1 million contract that needed to be in writing legally. Before it could be memorialized in writing, the market changed. Some of you are in markets that change and like that. And it was no longer to my advantage that I held my word. I'd given my word. I'd shaken hands. I had said that I would. And I didn't care that it wasn't in writing, and I didn't legally have to do it. The other counsel and the real estate, because of all truth and honesty, the other counsel told the story, which is the best thing, right, when they tell the story for you, as an insult to show that I was an idiot and not to be dealt with. Because he really thought so. Just as an aside, years later he lost his license and went to jail. But that was just an aside. It's kind of like karma exists, right? I didn't have anything to do with it. I would have, but I didn't. But he told the story. And yes, people laughed and shook their head, I'm sure, when he told the story. And went, yeah, that was really stupid. But then they showed up to me, my clients, because they said, I want to deal with you because you are honest. I want to deal with you because your word is good. Keep your word. That's the, and truth. We talked about the four-way test. Truth, fair, goodwill. That's the goodwill in art. I'm not taking them in order, obviously. But truth is kind of up for interpretation in its way. Not your truth, not the truth in yourself, but other people's truth. And sometimes you have to think about that. In fact, I actually tend to pass out the four-way test when I start a negotiation with people I don't know. I like to find out what people think is true about the situation, because we may not agree. And none of us might be lying, but I want to know. Sometimes bias becomes truth. Sometimes opinion becomes truth, especially if it's repeated a lot. Now, what kind of bias? Well, there's the kind that we all think of, the personal bias that's racial and like that and really nasty. But how about the bias of the corporation, corporate culture? Sometimes, and that's oftentimes recency bias. How we did it last time kind of worked. And it's easy for me as an employee of the corporation to push that solution, even if it doesn't exactly fit for this particular situation, because I'm pretty sure the bosses will think it's good. And I don't have to think. Because I don't have to think. We're going to have to take out our moral compass, right? We're going to have to find out that that's a good idea. And then, of course, you have the obnoxious bias. You have hostility, right? Sometimes you're dealing with hostile people. And then we have the let's all play a game bias. Yeah. If I treat you with empathy, which is understanding, not agreement, will you react better to me? You maybe. You will never force it. I'm going to have my lovely assistant in her most nastiest, loudest, most obnoxious, confrontational manner ask me a question, which is kind of funny because we all know she's not very confrontational. Go ahead. Ask me a question.
Who the hell put you in charge?
Nicely done. Somewhere along the line, you will get that kind of a question. Who put you in charge? Right? Yeah. What are they trying to do? They're trying to derail the process, is what they're trying to do. They might be naturally obnoxious people, but we are now, should we ignore that question? No. Because it's trying to set a tone for the negotiation, for the relationship, for whatever it is we're doing. Don't ignore, well, you can ignore it if it's yelled from the back of the room in security. is converging on the person to throw them out the door. But that doesn't happen that much. Really, it doesn't. Only in movies. So, what should we do? Well, you all have your own way of doing things, right? Yeah, you do. But one of the things that I do when I get faced with a question like that is I revert to third grade teacher, right? I treat them like they're idiots, especially if there's a team and there's an audience. Because it makes a difference how many people are listening, right? Yeah. So that's one thing you could do. I do that first. I explain very slowly. I say, well, Katrina, you know this. This person put me in charge because, and I make that voice, that little now 3-year-old idiot voice, which usually takes the sail out of them because they expect you to react mad, right? Next rule, put this down in your mental notebook. Never be rude, ever. Even if someone else is rude to you. Even if you'd like to be. Even if you have the darn best retort that anyone ever had, and you could do it really well and it would be fun and everybody would laugh, try not to. Because it sets the tone. I know, sometimes you can't help it. It sets the tone for the conversation. And that's what the person wants to do. They want to derail the process and make it about them or about something else. Now, after you do the 3-year-old thing, you're going to have to decide, according to the situation, what you're going to do next, because it's daring. If you think they truly are an idiot because you have dealt with them before, and the other people around you are team, and they're kind of on your side, you can say, what would you do in this situation? See, they'll derail it. Or you could ask the same question. What would you do? What's your idea? If you really want to know, and you really think they have validity. And come on in, folks. Yes, we kind of started on time, but the traffic was just terrible. Welcome. Yay. So you want to make the conversation within your parameters of the 4-way test, of not being rude, of going forward. Yes. What else would we like to do? Well, here's the concept of what if I treated you real nice, what would you do? If this is the person you know, you can gauge that, right? Because you've dealt with them before. If it's not, if they're a stranger to you, and you want to start out with empathy and understanding and like that, because it's your way and it kind of is mine. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what the internet is for. Go look them up. I don't know why people don't do this. Go look them up. They've probably got videos and talks and all kinds of stuff where they give you opinions and ideas of who they are and what they think. You shouldn't ever make a decision like that. Ask somebody what they think, what they would do, unless you got an idea of what the answer is going to be, of what they really do. That's how you get along with everyone, right? You try to find out maybe something you got in common. That would be nice. And pretty much everybody's got something in common with somebody, right? Yeah. Find out about them. No, don't snoop. But find out. Yeah, it's good that way. What's next on our little list of things to do? We're going to be mindful. But I'm going to make this talk not real long because I want to hear your questions. So we're going to talk about letting go. Let go of thinking it's personal. Oh, it might be if it was a personal relationship. But really, it has to do with your reactions and their reactions. And that's not personal, that's controllable. In business, it's hardly ever personal. Money is negotiable always, but not personal. It's the negotiable thing. The negotiable thing is not how do we treat each other. The negotiable thing is how much is this going to cost? How much is the settlement going to be? I'm a lawyer, I think. But it's has to do with the contract, right? Yes. Remember never to be rude. And don't take things personally, even if they're meant personally. You control your reaction to how people treat you. And don't stoop to their level and say something personal back, even though it might feel good. I've heard people do that. It leads to a snitty fight. And a snitty fight is never a good thing. Yeah. Yes. Let go of someone being someone you're not. You're not. You're better. You're you. And that's the best thing you can be is you. You're you. How wonderful. And I'm me. That's good too. But none of us are the same. Yes. Accept your strengths instead of your weaknesses. I know that's not popular. People dwell on their weaknesses, on what's wrong. They go to psychiatrists, they vent. They vent in public. By the way, don't do that. You know why? No, because the internet is forever. Do not put anything on the internet that you don't want me to find when I'm researching how you'd like to be treated. For heaven's sakes, don't tell on yourself. Put your best foot forward, and don't let young people you know do it either. Because when you're 16, you vent something, and then when you're not 16 anymore, it's still there someplace. No. It's the same rule as don't put the naked pictures on there, even if you look really good. Yeah, just saying. As some of you probably do. Which goes to our sentence of let go of being perfect too. Ain't none of us perfect. None of us. Now, the question has been asked. In fact, we're going to get to the question and answers thing, but somebody's already asked me a question. It's a good question. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes, no matter what you do, you've tried the 4-way test, you've tried the empathy, you've tried the don't be rude, even though you kind of want it to be. You've tried everything that you could possibly think of, maybe twice. Should you walk away? How do you know when it's time? Because sometimes, no matter what, I tell you, no matter what you do, sometimes you need to at least step back and give it some space. And they will rethink the fact, this obnoxious person, that they would like to get along with you, that you are important to the process. That they would. They'd like to get along with you when they can, and they'll think about it and they'll say, how come you left? Because they'll pretend it's not their fault. And then in your best 3rd grade teacher voice, you hear the 3rd grade teacher voice, not being rude, you can explain it in terms that they'll understand, like really small words. And yeah, you know these people, I know who each of you was thinking of, but And they'll go, no, I didn't do that. And you go, well, perhaps we could start over. But I'm going to take a little break, which will frighten them. Right? The break part always frightens everyone. Take a break. Now I, ladies and gentlemen, am the wrong person to ask about when to walk away. Because I'm bad at knowing. Because I never do. I hardly ever do it. I confess this. I've put in time and effort, and I always think that everything is salvageable. And, well, all right, this is kind of a personal story, but I'll tell it anyway, because, hey, we're all now friends here. Many of you know that I had an extremely neurodiverse son. Joseph was fabulous as a human being. I loved him very deeply, and I was blessed to be his mother. But he had things he couldn't do. One of them being speak with his mouth. But And there were all kinds of experts that gave opinions about Joseph, about what he could do, what I couldn't do. And one of the things that I thought a human being should be able to do, if possible, if this is too personal, you can raise your hand and I will stop, was be potty trained, right? It's kind of a big deal in a human being, yes. And he wasn't getting it. I used to tell people, and this is still a true statement, never mess with a mother who potty trained for 13 straight years. Patiently, consistently, kindly, and never giving up. Everybody said walk away, except my mother, Madeline, who was always there, and she was like, well, give it a try. 13 straight years. I was going to give up. I said to Madeline, my mother, he's almost 16 years old. Maybe he can't. Maybe this is a can't, right? Sometimes you can't. He never did speak. We tried everything on that too. But when he turns 16, I'm going to give up. We've tried everything. All the toys, all the experts, all the books. 2 days before his 16th birthday, Joseph got it. So I think you should never give up. Never walk away. But sometimes you should pause. I'm going to tell you to pause. Especially if it's something important that you don't really want to give up on. Something business important that's going to be lucrative. Something personal important that you don't really want to give up, that you don't want to lose. But you want to be treated better. You want to control the conversation better and not let it fall apart and become rudeness. Walk off and give yourself the option to walk back. I'm not one of those people that burns bridges. I don't think you should either. I've never found it to be a good idea. I haven't. So I think you should just walk off. Yes. This is the part where I say we're all human, right? We're almost to the end of our little handout because I'm going to go for questions and answers because I'm fascinated with all of you. Give me 1 sec. I'm a-coming. I'm going to leave you with the thought that we're all human. And remember that other people have stress. Other people have problems and like that. And sometimes we can take a break from whatever kind of negotiation we're doing, personal or professional. Let's have a treat. Let's have something to eat, a drink. Just relax. Get to know each other a smidge, right? It'll make us understand that each of us is indeed human and what it is that's motivating us. And it will make for a better relationship. Tell a personal story. Now you know stuff about me, right? Tell a personal story. It's good that way. Yeah, but make it truthful. So, I'm going to leave you all with a free gift. Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, you should be too. On the bottom of your handout, there is a website. It's brotherbasilbook.com. On that website are these 2 books for free. Yes, not the physical books, they're PDF form. This one, which came first, is one of those one-a-day pages, how to live your life type things, kind of inspirational. This one is how to live it even better. It is spiritual, not religious. Spiritual, not religious. Joseph of the My Son Neurotypical channeled both of them. Yes, it was fabulous. I saw it. A miracle has occurred, and I'm not being facetious. Or, no, I'm not. I am telling the truth. There we go. So, let's open up the floor to questions and answers. Yes.
What have you learned from Joseph's journey?
Well, this is a good question. Thank you. He asked, what have you learned from Joseph's journey? Thank you for reading the books. Obviously, he did. Joseph was different. Joseph was my son. He was very neurotypical. And I have thought about the answer. Oh, let's back up for a second. It's kind of a personal question, right? Sometimes people ask you personal questions, and you think, maybe I don't want to answer that. What should you do? Should you tell them to, well, do something rude? No.
But we paid for this event.
But we paid for this event. Nicely done. Nicely done.
I love you.
But sometimes that happens. You can be polite and decline to answer, right? Oh, thank you for asking. It's too soon to talk about it. Joseph passed away a little less than a year ago. So it's too soon to talk about it. With that little, I can't at the moment, right? Even if you're a man, you could go for that. I am, however, going to answer the question because it is not inappropriate. I talked about the books, and it is kind of a life lesson. And it goes to one of the questions that's on your sheet. I had to give up being perfect, the idea of being perfect. When I was, before Joseph, I was already an attorney, and I lived in the perfect boat. You ever hear the expression, we're all in the same boat? Mm-hmm. Folks, this is not true. We're all floating on the same ocean, but we're not all in the same boat. I know this because I was in the perfect boat. It was beautiful, it was high, it was well lit. We were all lovely people, yes. I had a husband, it's a long story. But yes, we were all happy and gay. And we never thought about the people, about the ocean. But then Joseph was born different. And different don't stay in the perfect boat, right? Right, it ain't perfect. Perfect boat needs perfect. So Madeline, my mother, and Joseph and I got thrown off the perfect boat into a little boat into the ocean. And we found out there were lots of ratty looking little boats floating around there. Because you couldn't see them from the perfect boat. And we found out that there were folk with no boat treading water in the ocean. So being me, Madeline and I started to drag the swimmers into our boat. Our boat started to list. I think that's what they call it when your boat's going to tip over, right? Right. And so we got together. We had to do something, right? We couldn't get up. We couldn't go down. We had to figure out a solution. So we got together with the other little boats, and we lashed ourselves together and made a group. Because Margaret Mead, remember Margaret Mead? She said that never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to make a difference. We were messy, and we were ugly, and there were a lot of us who were terribly neurodiverse. But we were a voice. We got together, we negotiated better things. Help for those that could be helped. Empathy for those who were kind of on the end of the spectrum. And of course, the idea that someone like Joseph could be more than he appeared to be, could be a spiritual savant. So yes, I gave up being perfect, but it's a fabulous journey. You're all on a journey. All of you. All of your lives are a journey. Think about what you'd like to do, and then make yourself a plan so that your actions can control responses, and so everyone will want to get along with you, because you get along with them. Okay, did you have a question, Roger?
I do, actually. How does the concept of self-love come into play in your theology?
I think you should. The question is, how does the concept of self-love come into play with this idea? Yes, you should definitely love yourself because you are worthy of love. You're doing the 4-way test now, right? Yeah. You're acting to yourself with truth, with fairness, because people are too hard on themselves. Somebody tells them that they are not attractive, perhaps. Everybody in this room is absolutely gorgeous. I can see all of you. You are fabulous. Just say it. Truth, fair, goodwill in relationships, was it promoted? Yeah. And you haven't cheated anybody. It's been beneficial to all concerned. If for some reason those things are not true, fix it so that you can indeed have self-love. If you don't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else?
Pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
The concept of forgiveness as well.
Yeah, forgive. Okay, first you have to do it for yourself. Whatever it is that you thought before you heard this talk, whatever it is that you were doing that was, we started out by talking about the fact that you couldn't lie to yourself. Well, don't try it. Because it's not going to work. You can't lie to yourself. There's this idea that you can do positive self-talk. You ever hear that thing where you could change your entire life because of the things you say in the mirror at yourself? That's fine, unless they're a lie. I mean, you gotta tell truth to the mirror, truth that you believe. And if you can't, and I'm sure you can't because you're a fabulous human being, but if you can't, change it. If you must, and you've really done something to someone, apologize. Say, I'd like to do better. I'd like to get along with you. You are part of everyone. And I am part of everyone too. I'd like to get along with you. Let's talk. Let's have a relationship. Let's not start over. Because you know that old expression, water under the dam? It's true. People have long memories. We all have long memories. Not start over. Start from here, where we are, and go forward. Start, not even new, just start. Just from where we are. Ask the other person, do you think that we would like to get along from now on? And what do you think it'll take? And then you give them their opinion. You hand out the 4-way test. But it's a way of living so that your actions get the proper reactions. Who else? Yes.
Just because I don't know a lot about your personal story, you were mentioning the 2 books, and you mentioned that they were channeled through your son. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, she's asked about how Joseph channeled the 2 books.
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of a long story, but we're gonna shorten it because that's how life is. Everybody knows what it means to channel a book. Get the idea from the other side and put it down for the people on this side. My board, it's really bad. My board is giving me one of those sentences that you're supposed to have the one-liner, right? That explains what you do. Here we go. You ready? BrotherBasilBook.com brings spiritual guidance into the living world. Joseph was my son. He passed when he was done. He passed at the age of 30. Which means he was potty trained for a long time, by the way. But Joseph could not speak with his mouth. Joseph had no fine motor skills, as in no typing, no pointing. Joseph was a vessel. When he was young, I was convinced, because I'm kind of big on the follow the path of God, I was convinced that I'd been given that son because I was supposed to cure him and have everybody else with the same problems tell him about it and lead the way, right? Hell, I had never met a problem I couldn't overcome. I lived in the perfect boat. And I had some monetary means to do it. And so I went for bear. We went everywhere. We did everything. Sometimes we did it twice just in case we did it too young, if you know what I mean. And it didn't work. I spent a lot of time, I spent a lot of money, and experts were delighted to see us. We went from one thing to the next. Then I found out that Joseph wasn't broken. He didn't need to be fixed. And this is a spiritual thought, not a religious one. I happen to be a Christian, but it makes no difference. What faith is your relationship with God. Religion is your community of people that you like to deal with, and maybe even talk about your faith in God. But it has nothing to do with spirituality, your religion, really. I really don't think God cares what you call God, as long as you're polite, not rude. Let's just say it. But Joseph was perfect. He was exactly as God has intended him to be. When I relaxed and stopped dragging him around all over the world, Joseph relaxed, and he became what he was supposed to be. He flourished into a spiritual savant. Joseph the unable, and I can say that because I'm his mother. Joseph the unable actually sat, well, the first one I helped with, but I was terrible at it. The second one, spiritual savant Joseph, he actually sat at my laptop, which is on the ground floor of the townhouse, with folk from the other side surrounding him. It is something that everyone can do, but some of us have relatives and lineage where you can see better the other side. Folk were around him, and Joseph, the completely unable, was typing because they were putting it into his head, and he had little physical fingers, which is what they needed. So look at the books. See if they're inspiring. Spread the word. They are free. I didn't write the books. I didn't create them. I'm not going to make money off of them. I'm not that kind of person that doesn't go with the four-way test. It's not truthful or fair, and it's not beneficial to all concerned. They're PDFs, they are free. If, for example, I should say this. If you click on the PDF and there is a window that asks for money or information, we've already been hacked once. The Russians figured that nobody would think the 200-page books are free, so they asked for money. If you see that, come and contact me. It ain't us. Don't put any kind of information into it. Free is free. It says free on the top of the website. Free. Yeah. So yes, thank you for asking. Yeah, it was okay. If you want to go for it, it was kind of a miracle. There we go. I saw it. And if I saw it, say I saw it, I saw it. What else? Oh, y'all getting hungry and sleepy. There we go.
Sorry, I missed the beginning part of this. So,
the traffic's just terrible.
I was curious, how do you help someone learn empathy if they don't have the capacity for it, or they're not currently in a place where they can empathize with other people?
It's a good question. The question is, how do you teach someone empathy? How do you get them to have some? Okay, I'm going to say something kind of stupid. In a business situation, sometimes if you're dealing with people who are truly not playing nice, shall we say, because empathy is understanding, not necessarily agreement, it is possible to get people to want to display empathy, even though they might not actually have it. Hey, what you want is to make the process go smooth. What you want is to get along with everyone. It's like being a bigot. Am I required to make you a better person? No, it's not my job. I'm not going to go back into your childhood and find out how come you're that way. I'm not your shrink. If you're that obnoxious, I'm not even your friend. But I am somebody that you're dealing with on a business level. Because we'll assume that the ones that have absolutely no empathy, you're going to try not to deal with them on a personal level, as they say, because that really is when you should know when to walk away. Yeah. On a business level, we're just going to try to achieve understanding. We're going to try to achieve common ground, and we will. I can make it, you can, all of you can make it happen. I've been doing mediation for a lot of years. I started very young in my career to do mediation because I'm good with people. And you can do it too. What you need is to get them to understand one central thing, that it's in their best interest to get this over with. There we have it. Sometimes, if you're dealing with people who truly have no empathy at all, and there are people like this, try not to marry one. I did. Because they look good, right? Yeah. And if you have that, sometimes I actually have been known to actually say that out loud. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to be friends. We have to get along sufficiently so that we can get this done and get on with our lives. You know the funniest thing about that? If you're in a situation where you actually have to say that to somebody out loud in front of everyone, right? And everyone nods and goes, yeah, we're going to get this done and get the hell out of here, because, yeah. If you actually have that, whoever is the impetus, the most obnoxious one, they will later on tell everyone that you are their best friend because you were the only one that understands them. This is a true story. Oh, Sue's the only one that understands me. I need to deal with her for mediation because she can get it done. Reputation, folks, right? We're making a circle towards reputation. Important. Anybody else?
How do you differentiate getting along versus being a pushover in a
Ooh,
negotiation?
That's a good question.
And being saying yes too much.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
The
get
answer is the idea.
What was the question? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. The question is, how do you delineate between getting along and being a pushover? About saying yes too much,
just to get through it.
just to get through it. First of all, this is truth to yourself. Because if you can see that you're getting kind of disgusted, and you just want to get it over with kind of at all costs, take 3 deep breaths and say that that's not my truth, because I am not going to let somebody cheat me. The fourth of the 4-way test is the beneficial to all concerned. I want to be cheated. I don't cheat anyone. I don't want them to cheat me. So that's your mindset. I'm not going to be cheated. I'm not going to cheat anyone, but I'm not going to be cheated. The second one is, this is where you take the break. Because we're all tired at the table. We're all tired of thinking about it, all tired of doing it. Let's have a break. Let's send in for pizza. Let's all, sometimes, you know what's terribly effective? And I don't know if you're in a position to do it, but I've been in business a really long time, so I can people want to get along with me. One of the ways to get things to speed up is to confiscate cell phones so that people can't use them or look at them or wander off. I once worked for a man when I first started out who also did the no food or drink in the room until we all get this straightened out. Yeah, it's kind of mean, but it's effective. But everybody, you have to make a deal with everybody. It's not a punishment. It's a we need to focus. For God's sakes, we're all sick of this. Put yours on the table. I'll put mine on the table. Mostly it's an offer. Mostly it's monetary, right? If it's business, it's monetary. What's the cost? What's the figures? Let's put it on the table, find out what's fair. Let's make a deal. It's only money, right? Yeah, we have lives. And you plain don't say that to people. I certainly do. Because there does come a time when you've over negotiated it, overdone it. The answer is, if you think you're being a pushover, think about why. And don't do it. Because usually, if it's not just an emotional reaction, see, you have to make the difference between your emotions and what's true, what you're doing, even in a personal relationship. Because there's emotions in a personal relationship, but you still got a brain. You're still thinking, right? Yeah. And you don't want to agree to stuff you don't want to do. Question is, why don't you want to do it? Is it because you really don't like the other person and it's visceral to you, but it would be a good idea business-wise or in some way professionally, even personally, to go halfway and do it, or even to do it? You just don't want to? That's not being a pushover. That's being pragmatic. See, I'm real pragmatic. I like to be pragmatic when I'm dealing with people, especially in a business setting, but also in an individual setting too. More questions?
I think it's a great segue to your last statement, being pragmatic when you say yes, but.
Yes.
So there's
In fact, we're gonna
100%
do it.
of us guilty in this little room of our personalities just say yes.
Yes.
'Cause
You see, many
'cause we do these
people, you're
things.
absolutely
We
right.
do these
Thank
things.
you. He said that it's a good segue into what I'm about to do now. Yes. Because it is true that sometimes people say yes too often, but a lot of times people say no too often. Because they don't want to be cheated, they don't want to be a sucker. They yell no. Let's play a game. And then we're gonna go eat because we're all tired of me. Let's play a game. In your mind, quietly, because there's too many people in the room. Close your eyes and say no 10 times in your mind. And then open your eyes for heaven's sake, so I know you're done. Now, do the same thing, but say yes in your own mind. Look at the difference within yourself. You just did it to yourself in your own head, but yes was better. So instead of saying no, say yes, but. Yes, but. And whatever it is that's the objection, because yes, but is an affirmative, and we have room. We have room to negotiate. We have room to talk. We have room to fake empathy. No, we have room to have empathy.
Can we put that in writing?
Yes, but.
Does that work?
It works really well in all kinds of situations because it makes you seem amenable, right? But you don't have to actually do all of it. And it gives you a minute to decide what your butt is. And whether or not your unwillingness can be tempered, right? Yeah. So that we can all get along and play nice together. Have we questioned? Have we answered? Thank you all for being here. Oh, please. We have one more question.
Do you know I did get here late as well? So I did.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you good methods on effectively navigating from using empathy to switching to logic when dealing with hyper-emotional people.
The question is switching from empathy to logic when dealing with hyper-emotional people.
Good question.
Yeah, we see that sometimes. For some reason, people seem to be getting more hyper-emotional. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Is there a permanent full moon? Did I not realize it?
The bridge is now open, but it's
There, yeah, it's all good. The answer is, I really like the idea of calming down. I suppose it's the third grade teacher in me. We talked about you'll have your own style when you do this. And men may be a little bit differently than women. But remember that the hyper-emotional isn't really deliberate. Have a little bit of empathy for it. It's stress, it's deprivation. It's, I don't know, I couldn't find my shoes because I've been on Zoom for days on end and I haven't slept. I like people to take a deep breath and tell me what's wrong. Tell me why. I want to know. I have been known, don't tell anyone because it is the pandemic still, I've been known to reach out and pat somebody's hand. Why not? Yeah. I would, if I had a hyper emotional person and I really couldn't deal with them because they were crying, because I've seen this. Yeah, I'm thinking of semi-retiring and my clients are getting that way. But they're all hysterical. Don't be too proud to bring them a glass of water, to bring them a snack, to say, you know, I could use a 5-minute break too. Let's have a 5-minute break. Let's think about it. Let's think about, we need to get this done. Maybe it's a personal relationship and it's broken and somebody is hyper emotional. Let's calm down. I know it's personal. But screaming ain't gonna do it. It never works. There are some people in business who think that screaming and crying is a good idea. And they're freaking men. I mean, but it's, you ever see those people that always fight? Their first idea is to fight and to get rude. Not with me. No. If you don't play, what they're looking for is a playmate. Really. They're looking to derail the process and make it theirs. They need a playmate. Many years ago, my mother taught me that if someone fights with you, if you don't, not physically, but if you run away, but if you don't fight back with them, they won't do it again because you're no fun. Don't be fun. Yeah. Be sympathetic. That's all right. Empathy is sympathy, right? It's understanding, not necessarily agreement. But don't play. Think of yourself more as grammar school teacher and child having a fit. What would you do? Well, you might bring them a little something, a little treat, right? Might have them take a break and sit off to the side. I've actually done that with adults. Sit off to the side and think. Say, you'll be surprised. Say, what do you want? Because they don't know. If they can't articulate it, then they're going to feel like an idiot. If they can articulate it, then you'll know something. Ask them what they want without using any kind of dirty words. What do you want? Why are you doing that? Look incredulous. I'm big on the incredulous look. God, for God's sakes, you're an adult. Why are you doing that? Are we 3-year-olds? I once saw somebody, a friend of mine does this in negotiation. It's kind of funny. I don't do it because it's not my style. I'm of the incredulous, to be third grade teacher mode. But I have a co-attorney. She's not my partner, but we sometimes see each other at different things. If somebody does that, she mimics them. She does. She starts to scream, which causes the other person to stop. because it's kind of shocking. It's effective. It's not usually my way, but someday I swear I'm going to need to do it. I'm going to start to scream. It'll be good that way. You'll be able to hear it. Are we done? Anybody else?
I have one
Okay.
question. It's a little broader and maybe not as focused in on what we've been
I
talking
take
about.
all questions.
Okay. Well, so in the world that we live in post or almost hopefully post pandemic, I feel like people are still kind of hesitant to connect and reconnect. I guess what advice do you have going back out into the world on how to better connect with family members, loved ones, people you haven't seen in a while?
The question is post-pandemic, or even just in this world, how do you connect with people you haven't seen in a while? And if they're kind of hesitant, what should you do? Okay, those of you who know me know that I'm a really big hugger. I hug everybody. I hug people that I know extremely well and I love. I hug people that I can't exactly remember their name, but I remember their face and they know my name. Yeah, it works out extremely well. But then the pandemic hit, and we all got kind of more squeamish. I find that I'm more squeamish. And I don't, if I'm about to eat, I don't exactly want to shake your hand. Really, kind of. Right? Yeah. Even if you're perfectly clean. I think that you should respect people's wishes. I plain ordinary ask, are we hugging? Because I want to know about your comfort level and my comfort level. If I ask it, then the answer is yes, right? Or maybe yes, but if then you sneeze. But, yes, but not now. Yes. But, because you look German. But, but I think you should plain ordinary ask. When people also, I don't know if any of you do this or not, but please don't. I didn't think about it until my mother Madeline had this. People think somebody when you were young taught you, especially professionally, about a firm handshake, right? Don't wring anybody's hand. It's not a good idea. May I touch your hand?
Sure.
See, I asked. Come into the light so we can all see it.
Okay.
If she puts out her hand, I go like this because it is friendly and it keeps her from breaking my fingers in case she's a firm handshaker. Right? Yeah. If she puts out her hand and I don't want to shake hands, I'm about to eat. She looks a little like she might be sick, which you do not. But for some reason, I kind of don't want to. Instead of ignoring her outstretched hand, which is rude, I go, oh, I'm so delighted to meet you. And then she knows to retract her hand, because we have kind of shaken hands psychically, but not physically. It may get better. Thank you very much for allowing me to have you as my beautiful assistant. It may get better,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a yes, but, right? If you haven't seen people in a long time, take some interest in them.
Well, then it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's in the asking.
Yeah. Yeah, I ask it all the time. Sometimes people say no, I don't want to, and I'm like, fine. Yes.
Now, how about empathy versus compassion? There is a difference because with empathy, we're picking up the feelings of the other people, where compassion, we're kind of acknowledging. Would empathy really serve us in one direction over offering compassion? And should we use one over the other or use them both, personally and professionally?
The question is empathy versus compassion.
Yes.
I'm going to say, as a general rule, compassion is more in a personal relationship. You've already got some sort of a personal relationship between you, and you would like to maybe make it more, right? or somebody that you would be willing to really help, right? That's something that, I have a friend recently who needed my help, and I came running because we are friends. Business is more empathy because you need understanding. Compassion encompasses understanding, but it's one step further into personal. Empathy is good for personal relationships, very good for business, because it's understanding, not agreement. But compassion takes it one step further, and in my mind at least, is kind of leading its way towards a real emotional entanglement. Dare I use the L word? Yeah, it might be even heading towards love. But you don't usually love your business associates unless you've developed a personal relationship with them, which is not illegal last time I looked. Time to eat. Thank you all for coming. You've all been fabulous. Oh, by the way, always thank people. Remember? When I started out, I thanked you for coming. Now I thank you for being patient listeners and for all the wonderful questions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's eat this gorgeous buffet. Thank you.